Hello, good evening. For our next face-to-face, I have with me our guest, His Excellency Abdullah Abu Shavez, who is Palestinian Ambassador to India. He has also served at the Permanent Observer Mission of the State of Palestine to the United Nations from 2014 to 2022. In that role, he represented Palestine in meetings and negotiations at the United Nations. He has also worked on multilateral diplomacy, engaging with UN member states and international organizations, and also contributed to the discussions on the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals agenda and other global development issues. His Excellency has also contributed to a strengthened Palestine diplomatic presence and advocacy within the UN system, particularly on issues related to Palestinian statehood, human rights, and international law. Welcome, His Excellency, to our next episode of Expert Insights. Pleasure to have you in our show.
Thank you so much indeed, my distinguished Mr. Muhammad Khan, and of course, many thanks to you and to your audience for having me tonight.
His Excellency, as you have served at the United Nations, let me ask, in October 2024, through your Twitter handle, you said, and let me read it out, an international investigation committee founded by United Nations to investigate and come out with a final report and hold accountable all those who committed war crimes before, on and after October 7. So finally, the UN Commission report, which was chaired by Justice Muralidhar, is out, and what you have to say on that report.
Again, thank you so much indeed, dear Mr. Muhammad. When it came to my appeal or my request or our request as a Palestinians, yes, I used to and will continue to say that we call for an investigation committee, independent investigation committee, to come to investigate what happened before October 7th, on October 7th, and after October 7th, and anyone conducted a war crime before, on, and after October 7th should be held accountable. This is our principle, and this is our principal stand and our principal opinion. Regarding the recent report that had been led by the Indian Justice, of course, which is 94-page report, which we highly appreciated the outcome that the report and the Justice and his team was come out with it. Yes, this is another investigation committee had been, the UN had, of course, established it, and they come with, or they tried to investigate a tip of iceberg of what happened in Palestine. Unfortunately, they come with a very sad evidence and very sad and very unfortunate evidence about what happened in Palestine. But again, this is a tip of iceberg. I can assure you and all of your respected audience that what happened in Palestine, West Bank, and Gaza during the last 1,004 days of genocidal war, and before that, is more horrible, more horrific than what the reports can contain. So that, but anyhow, this is a very important report, especially it came from an independent international committee. We highly respected the outcome of this report, and we agree with all the points that came on this particular report.
On 3rd July, it marked 1,000 days since the attack of October 7, 2023. How would you like to recall what happened to the Palestinian people during this period, and what, according to you, has been the most significant turning point in these 1,000 days?
Indeed, when we tackled the October 7th as event, as a very specific tipping point in our human history, our entire world human history, I would like, or I personally wrote a very lengthy article about October 7th, 1,000 day of the eve of the October 7th, or 1,000 day the sunrise of October after this, 1,000 sunrise after October 7th. And in my article, and I still believe that there are four main questions that yet did not been asked and yet need to be answered. The very first question is why? Second question, what? Third question, who? Fourth question, where? Regarding the question of why, this means that we are tackling the issue of why October 7th happened. And we here, as a Palestinian and of course as rational people, try to argue that there is and of course align ourselves with what the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said in his speech in October 24, 2023, when after he condemned, of course, and condemned October 7th, but then he linked it to the misery and um, to the tragedy that the Palestinian endured it since, according to our beliefs, of course, and according to the historical facts, since issuing the notorious and despicable Balfour Declaration. So why it happened? Because there is a huge history behind that, a huge misery that the Palestinian endured. There is a Nakba expelling of the Palestinian people from their homeland. There is the occupation, there is the first and the second Intifada, and more than tens of thousands of Palestinians whom had been slaughtered at the hands of the criminal Jewish gangs before 1948, and many other tens of thousands of Palestinians whom was slaughtered and killed at the hand of the Israeli occupation army since 1948 up to date. And of course, behind October 7, there is the misery and the tragedy of the Palestinian refugee whom was ethnically cleansed from their homeland in 1940. And much to talk about it when it came to the October 7th and why it happened. So the question of why need a lengthy discussion and lengthy investigation about the history and the misery that came behind it. Then what happened in October 7th? And a very important question. All what we know that is the Palestinian attacker or the Palestinian fighters had been broke on the fence of the Israeli fence and killed 1,200. This is what we know today. But at that exact day, there is a lot of lies had been spread around the world, and this lies had been spread from the mouth of the fugitive from justice, the Israeli Prime Minister himself, when he mentioned that 40 babies had been beheaded, tens of children had been burned in an oven, sexual assault had been conducted at the hands of the Palestinian people, and much other lies had been spread, and still many of the Western media, the complicit Western media, unfortunately, still is repeating the same exact lie. Yet Israel did not bring any single name of any single child that had been beheaded at that exact day, so that there is much of issue that happened at that exact day, and yet we did not know it. Just yesterday, the Israeli parliament tried to convene a political investigation committee, political investigation committee, and there is a big difference between the political investigation committee, internal investigation committee, and governmental investigation committee. Political mean that the current government would want to establish this committee and want to come out with the exact outcome that they want, so that even the opposite leaders in Israel, the entire opposite leader did not vote in favor of this law or in favor of this bill, which means that the Israeli themselves, up to yesterday, is doubt about what happened exactly in October 7th at that exact morning, or 2023, of course. So that a lot of issue happened at that day. And let me remind you and all of your respected audience that by the end of that day or that week, Israel used to talk about 1,600 Israeli had been killed. Then the numbers used to back to 1,500, 1,300, and up to day we reached 1,200. This is because there is a heavy fire. Both the Israeli and the Palestinian attackers, of course, had been subject to. And many of the bodies, or 10 of the bodies, had been melted and burned together. I mean, the Palestinian again, and the Palestinian fighter and the Israeli citizen at that time. But after a forensic investigation and then a good Israeli forensic, of course, work, they succeeded to separate the two bodies. The question that we want to know in that day, what happened? Who killed both the Palestinian and the Israeli? How come the Palestinian fighter with a very light weapons can destroy and heavily destroy multiple multi-story building. What happened to at that day? Still, there is a lot of a question about what happened at that day, and what we are calling as a Palestinian and as Indian, you should call, and as everyone who was affected by that exact day morning. And when I talk about everyone, this is the whole international community had been affected by that exact morning. So that we should be united to call for establishing and again an international investigation committee to come to investigate what happened exactly at that exact morning. I mean, in October 7 to 2023.
Okay.
Then the third question is who? Because who conduct or who is the attacker? Yes, the Palestinians. But this is the naive answer to say just the Palestinian. But who was back those Palestinians? I mean Hamas and the attacker. Who was stand strong behind them to strengthening their legs so that they conducted this attack? Israel and the current fugitive from justice, the Israeli Prime Minister himself, he was the one who stand strong behind to strengthening Hamas. He is the one who was big or reach out to the Qatarian and beg them to pay money to Gaza and to Hamas so that the split between the Palestinian two main political faction, I mean Palestinian Authority and Hamas in Gaza, to continue. And he used to say that loud and clear, and this is, I'm not revealing a secret when he used to say that, who want to avoid seeing a two-state solution, who want to avoid a political solution and two-state solution, he should maintain the rift between the Palestinians and he should strengthen Hamas in Gaza. He is the one who is responsible of strengthening Hamas, and so that he is the one also who's responsible on the attack of the October 7. Much question about October 7, about to reply or to answer who, because one of the main questions that we yet did not find any answer to it is, which is the Palestinian the whole entire Palestinian telecommunication system is at the hand of the Israeli government. All what was need at that exact day is to push the bottom down. But Israel did not push the bottom down, so that Israel allowed the communication and the coordination between the Palestinian fighter. Israel, this is fact. I'm not revealing a secret. This is fact, and everyone know it. The attack took 6 hours, and sometimes some resources or reference talking about 6.5 hours with zero reaction from the Israeli army. How come? How come zero reaction or the first reaction to come after 6 hours? There is a lot of question that should be asked to improve or to prove that who was behind this attack. Yes, the Palestinian did this attack, but who facilitated it? Why? Who is? We need again some external investigation, trusted investigation committee to come to investigate. Then the last question, Mr. Muhammad, is where, which means where this 1,000 and now 1,004 days should take us as international community, as a human, as Palestinian, and as Israeli, as anyone look for the peace. This should be the very important lesson that we should learn from it. Now it's the exact time to engage in a real peace process, and real peace process should be based on the adopted resolution in the international law.
Do you believe existing international institutions, including the United Nations, the International Court of Justice, and the International Criminal Court, have been effective in protecting Palestinians?
As a son of the United Nations, who spent approximately 10 plus years there, so that I cannot say or I cannot minimize the role that United Nations, ICJ, ICC, and many other international, of course, institutions play to strengthening the political and the legal base for the Palestinian. But by the end of the day, even the United Nations itself, one of its main entities, which is the United Nations, the UNRWA itself, had been attacked by the Israeli themselves. It is building had been attacked by the Israeli minister, the fanatic Israeli minister in Jerusalem. Its main building in Jerusalem, it is main or it is flag as a UN. And you know how much the flag of the UN is respected worldwide. The only country that did not respected this flag, did not respected the entities and the properties for the United Nations is Israel. Israel has already adopted law to outlaw one of the United Nations entities, which is again the UNRWA, so that even the UNRWA or the United Nations cannot protect itself. And let me just remind you and also your respected audience that when Mr. Khan, the prosecutor, the chief of staff of the ICJ himself, when they threatening him and told him that you cannot do this with Israel. This ICJ or all of these institutions have been created for the African leaders and the South African leaders, other leaders in the South and Russia, but not for Israel and the United States of America. So that this institution can strengthen the base, the legal base for the Palestinian, for many other countries around the world. But when it came to the real protection in the ground, more than 260 or more than 300 of the United Nations staff had been killed in Gaza alone. More than it is a property had been destroyed. So that the United Nations, in the theoretical level, yes, United Nations, ICJ, ICC, and all of these institutions doing a good and very important job, especially the recent United Nations Human Rights Council, the report that had been issued by the Indian Justice. Very good, very important work for documentation and for, of course, international law. But in a practical, unfortunately, Israel is a state above the international law, and this is, I'm not revealing a secret when I'm saying that.
So coming back to India, India has historically supported the Palestinian cause while also developing close strategic relations with Israel. What you have to say on the current position of India and its stand on the Palestinian cause?
When it came to the bilateral relation between India and any other state or nation, we could not intervene in this issue. India is a great country, a sovereign country, so that we have no other. But when it came to the Israel, to bilateral relation between India and Israel, we look forward to utilize this very important and very strong relation between India and Israel to utilize and to capitalize it and for the benefit of the peace process in the Middle East and for the benefit of our cause, of course. So that this is our opinion regarding the bilateral relation between India and, of course, and Israel. And of course, again, this is an assets if we could utilize it together. Of course, we and the Indian and the peace lover in Israel. But unfortunately, today there is whom is in the opposite or in the coalition in the Israeli government. I mean, there is no one can talk about the peace at all, and I challenge them to bring any single word related to that. But anyhow, when it came also to the bilateral relation between Palestine and India, we highly respected this relation. India just less than 3 weeks ago had pledged to pay another $5 million for the United Nations Relief Agency for the Palestinian refugee. India is doing good job with us as a Palestinian, and we look to India to continue. It is a very important and very good job. I think just yesterday, His Excellency, the Prime Minister, mentioned something regarding the two-state solution in his recent visit abroad. So that, yes, India is still backing the two-state solution, and this is very important stand from India. India and the United Nations itself is still supporting and voting in favor of the Palestinian resolution.
So in the present scenario, His Excellency, do you believe that the two-state solution is still achievable, or has the situation fundamentally changed?
First and foremost, when we talk about the two-state solution, let me again remind you and myself and all of your respected viewers and audience, of course. Two-state solution is, we are not, when we talk about the two-state solution, we are not inventing the wheel. The two-state solution had been created by the United Nations in November 29, 1947, when they adopted the resolution 181, which also known by the partition plan of Palestine. In this resolution, the United Nations called for or this resolution is adopted for two states, the Palestinian state and Israel itself. So that at that time, unfortunately, of course, Israel was not accepting to implement it, of course. And not only this, Israel, instead of 54% of the land that had been designated to it, occupied 78% of the historical land of Palestine. So that when we talk about the two-state solution, it was there since 78 years ago. But again, in the early 1990s, we, the Palestinians, under the chairperson of Yasser Arafat, we accepted to build our state in only 22% of our historical land. This is in favor of the peace, of course, and this is the compromise that we accepted. But unfortunately, the only one who's refusing, of course, the two-state solution is Israel. And this is a declared position from the Israeli current government. They are refusing what's so-called, according to them, the two-state solution. They are refusing to talk about state of Palestine. They are refusing to deal with any issue dealing with the state of Palestine, even if this state had been recognized by 160 states and countries from all around the world. Even this state have a lot, more than 100 embassies worldwide. With all these, but Israel is refusing the two-state solution. The question is it feasible? Is it applicable? Yes, this is the only solution that the international community has been agreed on it. India is still supporting and backing the two-state solution, but the question should be how to reach the two-state solution. This is the main issue. To do so, the international community should come united and to do one and very important issue: to stop treating Israel as the grumpy, spoiled teenager, to treat Israel as a state under the international law, or the international law can apply on Israel. The only country that even they themselves used to say, no, the international law is not applied over us as Israel. So that the only way is to accept is to pressure Israel to accept the international law, to adopt the adopted resolution, and to back to the agreed and to the signed Oslo Accord. Otherwise, the international community have another moral commitment, is to start boycott the Israeli occupation. This is the only way. You cannot talk about two-state solution and everyone is supporting the two-state solution. And the main obstacle for the two-state solution is the Israeli settlement. And even though while they are supporting the two-state solution, they are talking about they have a strong stand against the Israeli settlement. And even though the Israeli settlers is carrying their nationality, the Israeli settlers is freely moving in their states, the Israeli settlers is freely moving in their airport, the settlement product is flooding and flooding the markets and the shelf of Europe and everywhere around the world. If you are against if you are with the two-state solution and stand strong against the settlement, you can take a very important step to make this settlement, to bankruptcy this settlement. But as long as the Israelis benefiting from this settlement, and when I talk about benefiting, they are highly benefiting from this settlement, they will not dismantle this settlement. Also, to do so, to implement the two-state solution, we should, as international community, that 50 years ago, the international community came united to dismantle, to dismember the apartheid regime. What we are facing today is a Jewish supremacy, apartheid regime in Palestine, and it's a declared apartheid regime. This is not our word. This is Amnesty. What Amnesty already did its job and declared this is an apartheid, and many other Israeli NGOs mention that this is an apartheid. If there is an apartheid, if there is a Jewish supremacy, if there is a crimes that conducted at the hand of the fanatic Jewish every day in West Bank, if there is a carnage that extended since 1,004 days, if there is a 73,000 Palestinians have been slaughtered, in a live stream podcast, slaughtered. What the international community will do? What is the steps that they can take? They can take it. It's easy. Just boycott the Israeli occupation. Not more than that. Stop flying to Israel. This is the only way. Just 1 month, if the international community stop flying to Israel, for 1 month the international community did not accept any fanatic settler to enter its states or airports, the entire Israeli occupation will come to its end. But as long as the international community selling us this lip service as Palestinian and gave us all the nice lip services, but on a practical level, we are talking about against the genocide. But 51 countries, according to the report that had been issued by Al Jazeera channel just less than 1 month ago, 51 countries was, while they are declaring their position, the clear position against the Israeli genocide or Israeli war in Gaza, but they did not stop supply Israel with, and feed Israel with all the killing machine to kill the Palestinians with double standard, hypocrisy, and the international community is highly invited right now to stop the double standard and hypocrisy. We cannot talk about ending the Israeli occupation while Israel faced zero sanction. Russia, in parallel, in the last 4 years, 30,000 plus different type of sanction have been imposed in Russia. Zero sanction against Israel. This is the hypocrisy, double standard that feeding the Israeli occupation, that make the Israeli occupation is growing day and day, and make Israel turning its back to the international law and to the United Nations, ICJ, ICC, and much other.
Our viewers would also like to know from you what guarantees would Palestinians require before accepting any lasting peace agreement? What would be that guarantee that the Palestinian would ask for any lasting peace agreement?
Very simple. We, again, the Palestinians, accept to build our state in only 22% of our historical land.
Yeah.
The only guarantee is the applicability of the applicability of the international law in equal for everyone. Israel, Palestine, Jordan, India, and everyone should be abide by the international law. There is no more guarantee than that.
Yeah.
Is it fair to talk about international law?
Let us suppose and hope that if America and Iran reach a broader agreement, how do you think it is likely to impact the Palestinian issue?
We are not having the hope. We should, together as international community, come united to pray and to have a big hope that United States of America stop its aggression against Iran. Iran did not attack United States of America. United States of America launched this war and with Israel, of course, against Iran. But we should pray to God that the peace come between everyone, not only the United States of America and Israel from one side and Iran from the other side, but everywhere there should be a peace. We are, as a human being, the only way, as not fanatic, of course, just the fanatic people, the radical people who is believing that the only way to solve the problem or to finish their jobs, because Israel is believing of finishing the job, of course, is to launch a war. They are the ones who believe of the mind that can create life. They are the ones who are believing of the logic of power, not the power of logic. We as a Palestinian, as Indian people, I'm pretty sure all of you believe of the logic, the power of logic, not the logic of power. So that when it came to this, yes, we hope that pieces come again, or and a peace deal, eternal, final, and sustainable peace deal to be broken between Iran and, of course, it is attacker, the United States of America. And this is our hope as a Palestinian. But how it will impact, yes, to be very frank, since the very first day that Israel and America start the war against Iran, our file as a Palestinian had been put in the shelf and rarely to hear news about the Palestinian. No one know that during the last 7 or 8 months since last October, when they declared the ceasefire, every day there is a fire, whether it is in West Bank or in Gaza. More than 1,100 Palestinians in Gaza alone have been killed since the declaration of the ceasefire. So that, yes, we will look forward to this war or for the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding between America and um, Iran to be implemented and the final resolution to be adopted.
As Palestine ambassador to India, what you have to say to the people and also to the government of India?
Much to talk about it, of course. I would like all the time, I used to stress that we in Palestine and you in India have a share and a lot of typical events in our history, and it's not the exact time to mention many of it. Jallianwala Bagh and many other issues in your history, of course, your great murder. Bhagat Singh had been accused of being terrorist. We, the same exact issue, still being accused, or they accuse us of being terrorist people, the same exact occupiers, the same exact philosophy. So this is regarding the history. Regarding the future, yes, you would in India have a very great slogan, which is the world is one family, and we in the United Nations adopted and a very important slogan also, no one is safe until everyone is safe. My appeal to the Indian people in these days, we in Palestine endure a devastating situation in all levels. But one of these levels, or one of these sectors that on the brink of collapse is the health sector in Palestine. I had been convened since maybe 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks, in a press conference in the embassy, and I called for the Indian force government. I discussed it with officially with them, but for the Indian people, for the Indian institution, it's the exact time to help us. More than 11,000 surgery had been postponed since the beginning of this year. Hundred of different medicine and hundred of different tablets is completely, utterly missed. Tens of thousands or thousands of them patient of Palestinian patient home enduring cancer, kidney failures, and all of these stuff. Their life in on the brinks of collapse, and many of them, unfortunately, children, women, and elderly person had already lost their life due to the shortage of medicine and medical equipment that we are doing. This is my appeal to you right now, to come to reach us as a Palestinian, as not as individual and as an institution, Indian institution, to help and to do something to save a lot of tens of lives, of thousands of lives in Palestine. And I used to say that if it is not you, the Indian people, then who? If it is not now to help the Palestinian and me, if it is not now, then when?
Thank you, His Excellency, for sharing your perspective. We'll be back with another expert next time. Thanks for watching. Keep your environment clean. Goodbye.
Thank you so much indeed for having me. Have a good night.
क्या तुमने आज की ताज़ा और बड़ी न्यूज़ सुनी है? नहीं, मैंने तो नहीं देखी। एक बात बताओ, तुमको हर न्यूज़ सबसे पहले कैसे पता चल जाती है? मैं न्यूज़ वाला अड्डा फॉलो करता हूँ, इसीलिए मुझे हर चीज़ की जानकारी होती है। हाँ साहब, मैंने भी न्यूज़ वाला अड्डा सब्सक्राइब करा हुआ है। अच्छा, तो मैं भी जल्दी से सब्सक्राइब कर लेता हूँ। आप भी जल्द से जल्द न्यूज़ वाला अड्डा सब्सक्राइब करें और सबके साथ शेयर करें।